Let us pray. Almighty God, the creator and ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our actions so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria in general and Lagos State in particular. Amen. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. You are all welcome to today's sitting. Let us go through the votes and proceedings of Monday, 19 November 2018. Page 807. Honorable Olua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, fellow colleague. So I saw my name on the absent list, and I remember I called you last week Monday that I was invited at the party.
Okay, Mr. Clark, please kindly do the adjustments. Honorable Council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to also call your attention to the name. My name was found on the absent list, and
Mr.
I recall.
Clark, kindly do the needful, please. 808, 809. Honorable Shalagiwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to take us to paragraph 5, matters of urgent public importance. I noticed something there that reads, Honorable Abiru R.S. Shomodi II informed the House about the incessant interference of the executive arm in the parliamentary activities of the legislative houses across the country. How do I mean? I think it will be good for us to just say executive arm in the parliamentary activities across the country instead of saying parliamentary activities of legislative houses. Because who does parliamentary activities if not the legislative houses? That is one, sir, if you permit me.
I can't get what you are saying. Can you?
I am saying that instead of saying parliamentary activities of the legislative houses across the country, I rather we say parliamentary activities across the country, because it will be more of like tautology in the sense that the parliamentary activities are actually performed in the legislative houses. So I don't think it is necessary that we put that.
I don't see anything wrong with what they have done here.
Okay. But also, sir, if you permit me, still on that same paragraph, thereafter, Mr. Speaker admonished parliamentary. The word admonish actually means scold or castigate. I think it should be counsel parliamentarians. So instead of using admonish.
Where are you talking about? So,
it's that same page 5. Thereafter, that's like paragraph 5.
line what?
Line 10, sir. Line 9. Members condemn, where you say, thereafter, Mr. Speaker admonished parliamentarians on the need to apply maturity and courage in the discharge of legislative business. Yeah. Is it paragraph 3? Paragraph 3 of that. Okay, paragraph 3 of that, number 5. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Akonde.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Still on that item 5, let's go to Roman figure 2. Under question put, call on His Excellency, not call on his. So the D should be removed. Thank you, sir.
Page 809. It's 811. I have examined the votes and proceedings of Monday, 19th November 2018, and approval is here granted. Any message from the governor?
Right, Honorable Speaker, sir. Distinguished Honorable members, there is no message from the governor.
Any other announcements?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to announce the presence of the following students at the gallery to observe the House proceedings. 20 students from Faculty of Law, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, led by Ms. Olaomi Oluwatobi, Speaker, and Mr. Aka Oluwatimileyin, Chairman, Trip Committee. We also have 25 students from St. Rita's College, 51/53 Thomas Animashaun Street, Aguda, Lagos, led by Mr. Ogini Oluwagbemi Ga and Mrs. Okeke Ngozi. 49 students from Samuel Adegbite Anglican College, St. Peter's Anglican Church, Ikotun Road, Idimo, Lagos, led by Venerable Olaoluwa S. Adeyemi Principal, Reverend David Afeni, and Mr. Azan Akinola. And lastly, we have 20 members of Political Students Representative Council from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, led by Mr. Bello Yunis Abiola Clark, Speaker, and Mr. Shitu Abib Clark. That's all, sir.
Petition,
None, Mr. Speaker, sir.
matter of urgent public importance. Honorable Satonji, please in brief.
Thank you very much, sir. The Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to bring to the notice of this House, this Honorable House this morning, that the Nigerian Customs, were chasing some people in Badagry, in my constituency, and on the 20th.
Can you make use of the mic, please?
On 28th of November 2008, Mike, sorry, on the 28th of November 2018, Tuesday, the Nigerian Customs officers were shooting sporadically while chasing some people with rice, illegal, maybe importation or whatever. In the course of doing that, they killed a woman, an innocent woman who was just on her own, doing her own business in that area, very close to 4th petrol station around the roundabout in Badagry. And this woman died. Another person was also wounded. And the woman that was killed actually had nothing to do with rice. So the way they are going about killing our people is becoming very unfortunate, especially in my constituency. That's why I want to bring it to the nose of the House, sir, that we prevail on the Nigerian Customs to stop this thing. It's as if we are under siege. A situation whereby an innocent person, somebody bought a bag of rice or whatever, and you are unable to catch him or her at the border. Right in their village, in their house, you come there to come and start shooting at them. It's a big problem in Badagry, in my area, and I think I need this House to assist us to prevail on Nigerian Customs, as well as Customs General, to do something about this. Thank you very much, sir.
Honorable Makinde.
Thank you very much, sir. I think the issue being raised by Honorable David this morning is very pertinent, especially some of us that lives around the border of Ogun State. It's now becoming a routine activities of the Nigerian Customs Service to be pursuing those that are going about their lawful business and then taking them for those that smuggling rice across the border. And then our border between here and Benin Republic, if you want to measure it, is not less than 30 kilometers away or more. So I wouldn't know what they have been doing, where the smuggler will take the rice across the border and then come into the residential area, and they will be pursuing this set of people. From there, they've been killing innocent souls. I could remember last year I raised similar issue that the Nigerian Customs Service killed a organizer in my own area, simply because they are pursuing a smuggler of rice. And I think it's high time the Customs Service should limit their activities to the border rather than within the residential area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this issue raised on the floor of this Hallowed Chamber this afternoon is very germane, especially at a time like this when we are preparing for a major national event, the 2019 elections. Mr. Speaker, I want us to appeal to Mr. President, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, to kindly call to order our security agencies. Much as we enjoy their services, I want them to continue to do what they are doing. The manner in which they are going about their duties recently calls for concern. do appear as if there's disenchantment or they are hungry or something, because it will appear as if the security forces are just unleashing terror on the people. It's not only the customs. Just on Saturday in Ikorodu, at Odogbulo precisely, as I was approaching the venue of my brother's wedding, a soldier unleashed us whip on two pregnant women on a motorcycle, and they fell flat on the ground in a pool of their blood. And I had to alight from my vehicle and assisted those people to the hospital and all of that. Mr. Speaker, the immaculate white dress I was wearing was soiled, and we cannot continue like this, especially at a time when we are approaching a major national event. It will appear as if there is no government in the country anymore. People are just doing what they can do according to the might that they have, as if might is right. So I want us to join in the prayer that the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces should kindly prevail on the security agencies to please put a human face to what they are doing. Thank you very much, sir.
Honorable Layode.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me also join my colleague, Honorable Setonji, to sympathize with the family of the woman. The incident happened in Badagry. Actually, Honorable Makinde have said it all. The other time when we are mentioning this issue here, we mentioned that the Nigerian custom left about 40, not only 30 kilometers. You are talking almost 70, 60 kilometers from Idiroko to Ifako-Ijayi. I think we said it here on that day that the Nigerian custom should be called, and they should minimize all this their unlawful activity they are doing, coming to the cities, to the town, pursuing what have left about 50, 60 kilometers away from where they said they should be protecting our border area. The same thing happening in Badagry today, last week, which is very, very uncalled for. And I think I want to appreciate the Nigerian police, particularly Badagry division area, where they arrested the custom officer. I think they have been taking them to Panti for further investigation. And to me, and this house also, I'm supporting my colleague, that we should also assist our constituents by ensuring we pursue this one to the end, that is making that we should charge the Nigerian custom, particularly those people that were involved into the court, that we shouldn't sweep this one under the carpet and leaving them alone, because if we continue leaving them, they will continue doing more. So to me, Mr. Speaker, I'm also supporting Honorable Setonji and other colleagues that have said we should call on Nigeria custom, not that I should call them alone, that we should ensure that we should give our constituents the maximum support to go into the root of this matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While showing my concern for what happened in Badagry, I wish to state, Mr. Speaker, that now is the time to further encourage Nigerians and enlighten them on the present disposition of criminal administration of justice law of the state, which has taken the cost of liability in criminal situation beyond the accused person and the government. Persons that are affected now have rights under the law to claim compensation. So the family of the deceased should press this case, and when they start to pay compensation, though no amount of money can compensate life, but at least if the person cannot, the Nigerian custom will be, when they know how much they are paying, they will now know that it is not just punishment of sentence, that imprisonment and the rest of it that is available to them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, I don't think we have to go on and overemphasize what has been said. Well, the message has been delivered, and it's for us to take appropriate step, and that is to listen to the prayers of the prime mover. Honorable Setonji.
Thank you very much, sir. We have a resolve to congratulate with the family of the deceased, Mrs. Patience Oni, and also call on the Controller General of the Nigerian Customs as a matter of urgency to direct his officers
to be more civil and stop illegal termination of life, especially in the border areas. I also call on the Commissioner of Police to ensure that the arrested custom officers are, taken to court and treated in line with the criminal law of Lagos State. I so move.
Honorable Shalagiwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
And I think before the question is put, Honorable Makinde has just informed us about similar motion we moved some months ago in the same situation where somebody was killed in his constituency by the same organization. I think we should step further the prayer beyond the custom organization itself by calling on the presidency to intimate presidency of what has been happening and the way and manner with which the custom agency has been going about its operation with reckless termination of life of innocent citizens of this great country. For me, it further confirms the fact that the custom has become so inefficient in their assignments. If you have to change bags of rice from border up to the internal town of the Lagos State, which shows they've not been able to manage the border and they've not been able to police the border to prevent smuggling. So we should take this further beyond the custom if they remain helpless to what we have sent to them in the past, which means we should inform, the presidency who has, authority over the Nigerian custom. Mr. Clark, I hope you can take this in. All in favor say ayes. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Personal explanations. Reports. Honorable Agumbiade.
Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues. On Thursday, the 25th day, the second day of this month, to Sunday, myself, the chief whip, the clerk, head of legal department, and some members of staff attended a program organized by PEL. PEL is a partnership for engagement, reform, and learning. It is about the Southwest Reform Implementation Committee, which is put together by Conference of Speakers in Southwest to harmonize legislative activities in the Southwest of the country. And one of the steps that has been taken by this SLRC is to harmonize the standing rules, standing order, and business rules of all the houses of assembly in the Southwest. Present in the program are representatives of Ogun State House of Assembly, their clerk, representative of Osun State House of Assembly, representative of Ondo State House of Assembly, or your state. All the states in the Southwest were present. And the 3 days was extensively on the review of the rules. The program was declared open by the Honorable Speaker, Lagos State House of Assembly, who happens to be the patron of SLRC, that is the committee put in place by the speakers themselves to champion the cause of this integration, because the speakers will not have the opportunity, due to their busy schedule to do that. We look at the rules of all the houses of assembly in Southwest, and we harmonize all these rules at the end of the day. The gladdening thing about it is that it is the majority of the provisions of our rules that was adopted in that. Mr. Speaker, that is the report from the program. The Speaker of the State of Assembly welcomed us there, and the program was declared by the Speaker. To this extent, Mr. Speaker, the rules of our House, which we are amending, may need to wait for the harmonization, because at the end of it, they will put this together, present to Conference of Speaker, our Speaker being the patron, and once it's adopted, it will be the rules that we use in all the houses of assembly in the Southwest. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, before the business of the day, let me take this moment to recognize the presence of 20 students from Faculty of Law, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, led by Ms. Olawuni Oluwatobi, Speaker, Mr. Aka Oluwatibileyi, Chairman, Trip Committee. You are most welcome. Thank you for coming. And 25 students from St. Rita's College, 51/53 Thomas Animasham Street, Agoda, Lagos, led by Mr. Ogini Oluwagbebiga and Mrs. Okeke Ngose. You are all welcome. We thank you for coming. 49 students from Samuel Adegbite Anglican College, St. Peter's Anglican Church, Ikotun, Redeemu, Lagos, led by Venerable Olaoluwa S. Adeyemi, Principal, Reverend David Afedi, Mr. Hassan Akinola. You are all welcome. We thank you for coming. Last but not the least, 20 members of Political Student Representative Council from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, led by Mr. Bello Yunus Abiola, Speaker, Mr. Shitu Habib Clark. We thank you for coming. You are all welcome. Business of the day, Majority Leader.
Right, Honorable Speaker. On the other paper, we have as business of the day, House of Assembly Bill number 58, supported by Honorable Mrs. Teju Osho from Mission 2, Honorable Bramo T from Koshope 2, Honorable Lulade OG from Ekpe 2, Honorable Ogunyemi M.O. Ojo 2, Engineer Ishao G.O.R. Etiosa 2, Honorable Adekoye O of Lagos Mainland 2. Mr. Speaker, the bill is Lagos State Security Trust Fund Amendment Bill 2018, slated for second reading. May I therefore, Mr. Speaker, move that a bill, the Lagos State Security Trust Fund Amendment Bill 2018, be read for the second time. I so move.
Honorable Shola Giwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved by the Majority Leader.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Teju Osho. Sorry, please. Take your seat. Mr. Clark.
Mr. Speaker, sir, distinguished honorable members, with your kind permission, I wish to read for the second time a bill for a law to amend Lagos State Security Trust Fund, Chapter S5, Volume 9, Laws of Lagos State 2015. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Teju Osho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, the law of Lagos State on the Security Trust Fund and for other connected matters, 2007, is being proposed for amendment. The bill before us is the bill for a law to amend the Lagos State Security Trust Fund Law, Chapter S5 law of Lagos State. The 18th section in the law as it stands, and it's been proposed that 6 sections be amended. The sections are 5, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 14. Basically, this amendment is sought to make the law more effective due to current trends in the world today. We understand that tenure for a government democratically elected is 4 years, and the law as it stands is saying that is a 4-year term to be further renewable for another 4 years, but the amendment is seeking for a 5-year instead of a 4-year term and a further 5-year amendment, which is probably better, because when you start a new government, you don't want to now start putting everything in place in that same year so that the government can hit the floor running. Furthermore, when you talk about the oversight of any legislative arm of government, which is provided for by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we have oversight functions. For us to be able to have better and more quality oversight functions, we must be able to have the power of approval of a lot of things that are going on. For example, in that section 8, where it's talking about the spending of the trust fund, you'll understand that you have to make sure that the House of Assembly should approve those spendings. I don't want to go deeply into it, but when you're talking about procurement and maintenance of equipment and so on and so forth, we must know what they are spending the money on and how they are spending the money. Also, when you talk about the board, the law saying that even the members spending, the law is actually providing that it is part of the duty of the function of the board, not only for the board to be able to spend money, but also for members as individuals. But what this amendment is trying to do is to restrict it to your to liability or restriction to the board as an entity instead of the members as individuals. So hence the deleting the requirement to delete that by any other member and so on and so forth. It further tries to put more regulation into the activities of the board of the Security Trust Fund, and also to make sure that we don't go into issues of the private sector where the board is given responsibility on the activities of private security agencies. So we're deleting that. I mean, the proposal is to delete that from the law today. And the word area boys, we know that area boys is just something that we coined up in Lagos State or Nigeria as a whole, and we're hoping to use words that when you open the dictionary, you can understand exactly what we are talking about without having to look for what it means. Instead of just using area boys, miscreants or street urchins is sufficient to explain what the board is trying to do as to make sure that they have work to do and they are not a liability to the government or the people of Lagos State. Honorable members, issues of fundraising is also there, being specific. I remember Mr. Speaker actually said that there must be some kind of exact key onto what the funding that we're going to assign to the core, and it says that we guarantee the 10% of its fund to the neighborhood safety corps. That is the fund that they raise either by contributions or donations or other funds that come from the state government, federal government, and so on and so forth. It is said that there's a guaranteed allocation of 10% from there. Then the appointments of the executive secretary and other members, it says should be subject to the confirmation of the House. All this we must understand that as a democratic government, even for posterity's sake, when you are talking about anything that has to do with the state government, in order for the House to be able to have thorough oversight, to be able to tell the people of Lagos State that as representatives, as voice of the people, this is what has been happening in the government. We must know from the onset what is happening. And I think that's basically what this law is trying to, this amendment is trying to achieve. And also that the board should prepare and submit its mid-year report activities to the House of Assembly. This makes it compulsory, not for them to say when they feel like doing it, they will do it, and when they do not feel like doing it, they will not do it. So I believe that the merits of this law, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, overweigh the demerits, and I think it's something that we should give a speedy
Honorable Lowe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague, good afternoon. Honorable Tajuja have actually said everything, only for me to add one or two things. Mr. Speaker, Section 2 of the law, we allow the board to outlive the government that brought it into being, and that we avert vacuum. As you all know that security is a serious business, so we should not allow for vacuum, and I think this new the amendment will take care of that. Section 8, sir. You see, Section 8, deliberately, the amendment is to sort for an issue that will allow for probity, and more so that it has happened before that when they said they will buy this and this for the use, they will end up using for another thing. So the House can now ensure that whatever the essence of that purchase is met, not to be diverted. Mr. Speaker, Section 81H talked about the functions of the board, and where board will now regulate the activities of private sector. I don't think it's within their purview. Mr. Speaker, again, when we go further to Section 10, the Executive Secretary has to appear before the House because of his activities and his role. He's the Chief Executive Officer and Accounting Officer. Secondly, he's supposed to do the day-to-day running of the office. So the man that's supposed to occupy that position supposed to be probed and approved by the House, because the essence is not just like any other person. He's on a full-time, running as a CEO, disbursing fund. So it is imperative he has to appear before the House, because the money, the fund was appropriated by the House in the first place. Mr. Speaker, then again, Section 12, that is a new section, power to co-opt. Power to co-opt basically is talking about if you have professionals and experts, and there are issues that come up during board meeting, and for such people are required so that they can add to the stock of knowledge, but they will not have power to make up the quorum or to vote. I think it's a good one. Then finally, sir, the board shall cause to prepare and submit its mid-year report. It is salient. The reason is this: with this boss the money, we must have an insight into the activities of the board, of the fund, and more importantly, because we have insight, we can assist them when the need arises. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This law is due for passage, and
Honorable Isha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, Honorable Tejoshua and Honorable Lowe has done justice to this matter, but let me just stress one other issue. This House created the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps. The fact that we are dedicating 10% of monies raised under the Security Trust Fund towards that corps is very, very key. And I also want to support this bill for amendment so that all these issues raised can be incorporated in the bill to become a law. Thank you.
Honorable Tabu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, my colleague have spoken very well. But Mr. Speaker, I want a situation where we'll be able to abridge that section of tenure where we change from 4 to 5 years, just to make sure that there is no vacuum. But in a situation where we have a governor, despite security is a business and it's not ready, so I want us a situation where we can, I want to seek for a compulsion clause to be included, that a governor must constitute that board, a month, not more than a month after the expiration of the existing one. Because despite we include 25 years, some people may decide not to constitute the board. So if there's an inclusion clause, it will compel them as a matter of importance and ensure that the board is constituted after a month.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I wish to state that the chairman of the committee in charge of this has actually done well about it. But I want to call our attention to the fact that the amendment to section 12, which creates another section 12, while does not request that the instant section 12 should be deleted. Therefore, we may end up having two section 12 unless we renumber. So one would have expected that not deleting the extant section 12 and creating another section 12 should warrant a provision in the amendment bill requesting that the sections be renumbered. Also, Mr. Speaker, I wish to remind us that the reason why section 8 is recommended to be deleted completely here, Mr. Speaker, is a result of our discovery at the Pali we had that regulation of private security agencies is under exclusive legislative list, and it's not within what we can legislate on. That's why it is recommended for complete expulsion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The chairman has done a lot of work, and my colleagues have also added their own part. Well, something I saw here under section 9, where we are guaranteeing allocation of 10% of the fund to the neighborhood safety corps. What I'm thinking is that ordinarily I think we should look at the fact that the trust fund, the security fund itself has an operating expense. So we should be clear if the 10% is before the removal of the operating expenses of the security trust fund or after it, so that there won't be any ambiguity. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Lastly, Honorable Tunde Ibrahim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am indeed delighted that this matter is coming to the fore this afternoon. It is because this agency has been a floating agency all along. I said that because it will appear as if no committee had actually been oversighting this agency because of the confusion that we seem to have. When I had sway as the chairman of Information Strategy and Security, I believe it was under me. At the same time, I believe it was under the Chief Whip, Honorable Rotimi Abiru. Now, with this legislation now, this amendment, it will be properly situated where the agency lies. Because when we talk of public funds, we must enhance accountability, we must enhance probity, we must enhance transparency. These are the rules that will make people more encouraged to donate to the agency. The agency itself is one of the first of Lagos State and is being copied all over the country now. So it's something that we must guide jealously. I must see that we do all from time to time to periodically and continually review it to bring it up to the acceptable standard of what best practices at all times. So I'm delighted and I lend my weight behind the amendment, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for your contributions. I think the essence of this amendment is to ensure accountability, probity, and transparency. And I think it's an opportunity for us to also commend those private organizations that have been contributing immensely to the purpose of this agency to ensure protection of life and property in Lagos. As rightly observed by Honorable Tunde Ibrahim, is the first of its kind that which Lagos states put in place, which has been copied by almost every state in Nigeria. We must ensure its sustainability by looking into the law and review the law accordingly to the latest recent development within the state, which you all have talked about. And one of it is to ensure that we monitor the way and manner with which the fund at the disposal of the agency is being expended, and at the same time to also create opportunity for our own baby, that is Lagos State's Neighborhood Safety Corps, to provide them more fund to operate effectively and efficiently. It is our baby, it is Lagos baby, and we've been giving whatever we have to the police, Nigerian police, without recourse or without giving, reports on the how those things we have donated were being used. Well, this is opportunity to take up our own thing and see how we can go beyond what has been happening. So it is a good law, and I support you all that we need to work fast on this, and they need to call the executive secretary of that agency to know who will be in charge, because the office of the executive secretary plays a very prominent role in the life of the agency. So I quite agree with you all on what you have said. In view of this, the bill is hereby committed to ask committee on information and strategy to report back in 2 weeks. Thank you. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, next on the other paper as business of the day is House of Assembly Bill number 64. The bill, Lagos State Audit Amendment Bill 2018, is supported by Honorable Oshun M.O., Honorable Ogundi Imu, Honorable Olawale, Honorable Giwa S.O., Honorable Shokunle O.H., Honorable Yusuf A.A., Honorable Kazim R.A. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, may I move that Lagos State Audit Amendment Bill 2018 be read for the second time. I so move.
Honorable Tobo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable members, it is my honor to read for the second time a bill for a law to amend the Lagos State Audit Law, Cap A13, Laws of Lagos State 2015. Thank you, sir.
Well, the bill in question, the bill in question is just a fresh amendment to a recently passed law. The law has just been passed, and I think the executive in its own wisdom introduced new ideas to the bill. But some of what they brought, I think I have a strong reservation. The essence of audit law is to ensure independence of the Office of Auditor General and all audit units or departments in all the MDAs. But with the latest development, with the latest request in the bill that everything should be centralized, which means the independence of those offices will be taken away. So I just want to say, unfortunately, the Chairman's Committee on what is it called? Finance. PAC, Public Accounts Committee, has just stepped out. So to look properly at that section and take it away. If we are moving away, I don't think there should be any reason for us to take us back to where we are coming from without any tangible reason. All the audits units and departments must be allowed to operate independently of the central office. So I think that is a major importance in the amendments request. Honorable Tony Brimo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just as a reader to what you said, sir, I also observe that the amendment seeks to join local government auditing to state auditing. And constitutionally, I think the office of the Auditor General of the state is a constitutional creation. No. The local government cannot be joined to it, sir. I want us to look into this legal framework properly before we.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, thanks for identifying those issues in the bill before us, and also the issue raised by Honorable Bramo. Mr. Speaker, aside from these two issues, there are some provisions in the bill where more composition of certain offices were further strengthened and harmonized. Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt that when this bill is eventually committed with these highlights, we will be able to look at it. Any bill that is brought to the House of Assembly is subject to thorough analysis, and at the end of the day, it does not have to go back the way it has come. And no bill has ever returned the way it has come to the House of Assembly. So hoping that the appropriate committee will be able to look at those areas and will be able to cure that which we have observed in it, and at the end of the day, it will reflect the yearning and aspiration of the House of Assembly in the interest of good governance and auditing in the state, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Olowo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In addition to your observation and that of Honorable Buraimo, sir, Mr. Speaker, Section 5 of this bill tend to confuse me. Because when you say you have an accounting officer for the commission, which of the commission? Is it local government audit commission or state audit commission? It tends to bring about confusion because, you know, local government is autonomous to some extent, and local government have its own service commission and it has its own audit commission. So in this bill, when you say for the commission, it's going to bring about role conflict. Which of the commissions? So just like what you said, sir, there's a need for us to look into this bill again with a view to making some changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Apart from agreeing with the Honorable Tunde Brahma on the local government Office of Auditor General, I also observe that for independence of the audit department, the Audit Service Commission should be moved away from the Ministry of Finance so as also to maintain their neutrality. Thank you, sir.
Lastly, Honorable Kasu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having recognized this very, very apt bill that you have drawn our attention to, I must say at this point that it is not every bill. It serves as a lesson to me personally. It is not every bill that should be centralized. It is not every department that should be that can be harmonized. Some exist for specific reasons, and a good example is this particular audit bill. There is no way there won't be any overlap of responsibilities when it comes to local government audit and state audit. State government deals with MDAs. Local government deals with local government activities and local government services, and they audit in their respective fields differently. So I believe that it should be looked into, and like Honorable Bisi Yusuf rightly said, there are some areas that should be ejected from the finance department, as he has said, and put under the audit department so that it can be properly streamlined. Then you can have a proper central harmonization process. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Well, this bill is hereby committed to House Committee on Public Accounts, States, to report back in 2 weeks. Yeah, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we have come to the end of the business listed on the other paper for today. And with your permission, Mr. Speaker, may I humbly move that this Honorable House adjourns from today till Monday, the 31st day of November, 31st day
of December.
Oh, Mr. Speaker. to 3rd of December at 12 noon.
31st of the, is it?
3rd. 3rd in my own calendar here is Monday, sir. I said 3rd
Monday
of
is 31st.
3rd of December, Mr. Speaker. Monday, 12 noon. 3rd. Right, Honorable Speaker, with your directive that the motion be restated, I hereby, with the approval of the Right Honorable Speaker, move that this House adjourns till Monday, 3rd of December at 12 noon. I so move.
Honorable Ishola Giwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved by the majority leader.
Well, before the question is put, there will be a short meeting immediately after sitting. All in favor say ayes. Those against nay. The ayes have it. This House stands adjourned till Monday, 3rd December 2018 at 12 noon prompt. I rise.